Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network. The broadcast shows are for informational and entertainment purposes only. They are not designed to provide listeners with specific personal, medical, or counseling advice. Individuals with a medical issue should always consult their healthcare provider. MS&Me is not responsible for content of individual shows. The views expressed by show hosts or the guests are their own. Enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Dawn Melanie. I thank you for joining me today for this week's episode of Managing Self, where again, I'll be sharing with you, the listeners, how I manage myself every day while battling multiple sclerosis, or MS, affectionately termed by me and probably by many of you listening today as the MS monster. The keys to my personal success are strongly correlated to items that I deem as key to me for the past almost 20 years. Actually, today it's 1 month shy of 20 years. In case you are unfamiliar with my story, I'll recap briefly. I attribute my success to managing myself, my multiple sclerosis, to a strong faith, to a solid fitness lifestyle, which encompasses consumption of healthy foods, and shunning away from less healthy foods that are likely to cause any MS complications, such as flare-ups due to inflammation. But if you are familiar with my lifestyle, you do understand that I never say absolutely no to any food items. Basically, I'll indulge in dessert and even maybe have a glass of wine every now and then. But, let me clarify one thing, is that I'm not a health nut 100% of the times. Basically, I'll partake in the most decadent of food items available, especially when it's a setting where it's a gathering of close friends or in family. I'll dig right on into a piece of cake, piece of pie, or ice cream, or whatever. But if it's a special occasion, I usually have fun with the situation at hand. Like I said last week, this indulging in moderation is pretty much in line with my take on FMS. My daily, I consider my daily artillery, my gear. My daily artillery for battling multiple sclerosis includes faith, food, that is healthy, nutritious food, having fun with my family and with my friends. Which leads me to this week's episode, Silly Rabbit. A couple of weeks ago, I was explaining to my husband that to this very day, I still mix up the nursery rhymes. The characters, the plot. I simply thought that they were. I thought that they were nonsensical, and I didn't think it would prove any benefits to me in my life. So my lack of knowledge to recite them isn't quite a reflection of my intelligence by any means, as I do have a semi-photographic memory. But I understand that I didn't want to clutter my brain with what I thought was useless information. The somewhat precocious child Dawn Melanie, I wondered, how would farm animals defying gravity with these jumping over celestial elements and seemingly eloping cutlery, the dish ran away with the spoon or something like that. It's like they were, I don't know, I figured they were eloping, like going to get married. Who knows? But I was like, what does this have to do, or what would this have to do with my growth and in line with my pursuit of a career as a prominent businesswoman, lawyer, or perhaps even a doctor? My husband claimed their purpose was to help young minds with their language development and even with rhythm. I believe the term is phonemic awareness, and that is the ability to notice, think about, and work with individual sounds in words. And apparently, a student's skill in phonemic awareness is a good predictor of later reading success or difficulty. Well, just like I've had MS now for almost 20 years and counting, but it looks so good. I didn't bother learning those nursery rhymes, and I managed to develop a rather decent mastery of the English language. I guess I have another confession is that, I didn't pay attention or pay much attention to the nursery rhymes. I thought they were silly. But I did manage to have a long enough attention span to give more attention. Pardon me, more, yeah, more attention to Aesop's fables. Um, my favorite being the tortoise and the hare, or some may refer to it as the turtle and the the tortoise and the hare. Some may refer to it also as the turtle and the rabbit. The account of a race between unequal partners, rabbit and a turtle, um, basically it's over the years this attracted conflicting interpretations, and in itself, it's a variant of a common folk tale theme in which ingenuity and trickery are employed to overcome a stronger opponent. Ah, I like this concept. It screamed, to me, it screamed successful business person, which I wanted to be at a very early age. Um, and as I progressed through my business schools classes in university, I can still recall hearing my professors recount real stories of trickery being used in a business setting, and just the wit um, used by people sometimes with good intentions, other times with bad intentions, but nonetheless the wit that was employed, and also the savvy to be able to distinguish between that. Again, this interested me, turtle and a rabbit racing, and just understanding the ins and outs of everything's not what it seems, you know, with business, with MS. But like I said, at a very early age, that was the one of the stories that interested me. Okay, so I was a business student turned certified public accountant, etc., etc. But in my opinion, this this process totally relates to me. Well, I believe it explains a lot about me, of how I deal with issues, and how I deal with one of my one of my most encompassing issues today. That is how I manage myself with multiple sclerosis. Now, yesterday was Taco Tuesday, probably my third favorite weekday to eat fun food. Of course, my first being Friday, Pizza Friday, and I don't know. I'll put third because pizza's probably first and second, but Taco Tuesday is pretty fun in I don't know, in our household it is, and my standard of table decorations includes, this beautiful cornucopia of Mexican condiments, um, both flour and corn tortillas, um, my freshly made guacamole, all that's laid out on the table, with Taco Tuesday, and of course I was hungry, and I was ready to eat. Anyway, hubby, he he had grilled the chicken for me, and he also grilled the corn and grilled tomatoes and pineapple and whatever else I could pull out of the refrigerator, because everything tastes better grilled, right? I think so. Anyway, we were eating and at the table, and I dropped it. That is my taco that I was making tacos, and so meticulously put together. I dropped it. I didn't drop it once. I didn't drop it twice, but I dropped it a bunch of times. My carefully constructed taco soon became a deconstructed mess. Um, it it wouldn't have been so bad if it all just kind of landed on my plate, but instead it landed everywhere but my plate. Literally had crema on my blouse, I had salsa on my pants, and I had a loaded nacho chip in the I call it the Valley of Death, or shall I say, down the chasm between my bosoms. Yeah, a loaded nacho, pretty much a mess. Before I go any further, I'd like to define the term habit. A habit is a settled or regular tendency or practice, especially one that's hard to give up. So, wait a second. I have a habit of being clumsy? Or do I have symptoms arising from multiple sclerosis, making or leading to acts of clumsiness? Me being, me being neither an ultimate optimist or a hardened pessimist, I like to call myself a self-proclaimed realist. And I attribute my clumsiness to both of the aforementioned attributes. Just plain old clumsy and maybe a result of MS. Now, the habit that I know that gets in the way, a habit I know that gets in the way of a lot of things that I do, it's basically a tendency to procrastinate. And oftentimes I'll delay action, or I put off doing something pretty much just because. Well, all right, okay, I'll be honest again. Another confession. I'll admit it. I have MS excuse, when I drop stuff or like something like that, or maybe being tired. I've used it more than once, but after doing some reading last week on taking action, I realized that I had thought the tortoise in the hare fable was ludicrous. I mean, I would have put my bet on the rabbit every time. I mean, sure, it sounds great that slow and steady tortoise can win the race, but come on, theoretically, sure, but that's not really how it goes, or I don't think that's how it goes. I don't think that's how any of it goes, especially what I've seen unfold in real life situations. You place a rabbit against a turtle and see who wins. I think the rabbit's going to win pretty much 99.9% of the times. Unless maybe he has a broken leg or something. Now, I don't know about you, but I know myself. I doubt if I'm going to be winning any triathlons anytime soon. Triathlon consists of a marathon, 26.2 mile run, a lengthy bike ride, as well as swimming partly across an ocean or something like that. So, I don't think it's going to be happening for me. I don't think so at all. But I say that it probably won't happen because my right now, my legs, they won't even allow me to jog in place. So I don't think I'm running 26.2 miles in addition to swimming and bicycling for several miles. I mean, actually, the last time I did a MS 150 bike ride, I guess that was 99. Actually, after I had just gotten diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So, I finished. It's funny. I was like one of the last. My late husband and I were the last three or four people to finish the race. We didn't take any sag wagons. We rode the entire 150 miles. But I finished with I like to say I finished with the classic dish, spaghetti legs, with a generous portion of a side of a catatonic state. Basically, catatonic kind of basically it's reduction in activity to the point where voluntary movement stops and leaves you in a catatonic stupor. So, after all the bike riding and things like that, I noticed that I, the spaghetti legs or shaky legs, whatever you want to call it, definitely that happened to me. So that's why I said I probably won't be winning a triathlon anytime soon. Unless, who knows, there could be a cure tomorrow. Anything's possible, right? So this was a predominant of my first symptoms when my MS onset. back in September 1998. Yeah, wow. I was 25 years old, and I was more or less feeling like I was on top of the world. And my world actually was put on hold, with the MS symptoms. It was like somebody just depressed a pause button on me, and I recall it. I recall it in so much detail, but what happened is the right side of my body, it it just stopped. Like, not all the time, but it stopped doing what I wanted it to do, and it did something else. You know, like I said, it wasn't continuous. Like, it wasn't all the time, but it was when I had the episodes. When the episodes would hit, I'd say, stuttering, I would say, "Give me 10," and basically, I was letting the person who I was with know that I needed 5 to 10 seconds to be restored, for my body to reset, kind of like being rebooted. Control Alt Delete. Um, and I was like, okay, I'm not procrastinating by by saying give me 10. Gosh, I forget. It happened a lot when I was playing racquetball, and being a competitor, I wanted to continue my game. I had a strong desire to win each and every rally of the racquetball game that I played. But when an episode, when an MS episode struck me, I needed 10. I needed 10 seconds. Okay, here I am thinking I had hare or rabbit like instincts. Well, when the MS episodes hit, those quick rabbit like instincts were forced to slow down, and I literally had to proceed very deliberately. My each and every move following the MS episode was very deliberate, and early this week, I realized that I was successfully managing my stress and controlling my emotions by being more patient. So, here I am asking or requesting the person I'm with to give me 10 so that I could regroup, reboot, what have you. And, it helped me to not be that quick rabbit and to be more like the tortoise. You've heard it probably many times. Patience is a virtue. And I realized that when MS flare-ups, or pardon me, episodes would hit, I acted more like the tortoise or the turtle and less like the hare or the rabbit. I also did some reading that led me to the conclusion that although I move at a slower pace today, I walk slower. I move slower. Even though I operate at a slower pace due to MS complications and things like that, every day I do. But I also notice that I'm as efficient as a rabbit in the race. I understand that the most important part of a race, or pretty much getting anything accomplished, especially breaking a habit, breaking a habit, starting a new habit. The most important element to that is starting, literally starting. And I asked for 10 seconds to reboot, but the application of the 5 second rule, the 5 second rule, it insists that you take action in half that time, 5 seconds. I asked for 10, but there's a 5 second rule that says take action in 5 seconds, half the time, which I was using to kind of reset my system. And now the 5 second rule, it's not a catch-all, but it's actually a simple realization that procrastination is a natural and a valid response to stress. Something we don't want to do, or we're not feeling it, we'll probably put it off. Just fact of life. That's human nature. And the knowledge that you're always just 5 seconds away from making a decision is really important. And those 5 seconds can be a huge leap towards breaking free of any irrational hold that procrastination has on you. You know, maybe you're, again, reluctant to do something, move forward with a decision. It can be a very important life-changing decision. But, you know, our brains kind of tell us to put it off and not address it head on. But, you know, if so, it's been proven that, you know, so that our brain doesn't control us and we control our brains, that we make a decision within 5 seconds, and it'll probably it will help in the long run. Whereas you're thinking, well, that's really quick, but you know, instead of talking yourself out of doing something, just go ahead and start it. You know, I want to stress that, you know, bad habits. Well, pardon me. I want to stress that, you know, I said go ahead and start it because bad habits interrupt your life and they prevent you from accomplishing your goals. So, if you have a bad habit, you know, whether it be, I don't know, whistling at work, uh, chewing gum and popping, you know, but popping gum or something like that, you know, whatever your bad habit is, it's going to jeopardize. It may very well much so jeopardize your health, including both mental health and physical health. So, like I said, bad habits interrupt your life and prevent you from getting your goals. But basically, like I said, you continue on with your bad habits, it's gonna waste your, I want to say, waste your time or your effort on trying to be a better you. Everyone has at least one bad habit. I mean, even I do. But you know, whether, you know, some people, gosh, I'm thinking, I know a lot of people that are chronically late. All the time they're late. You know, that's something that they have to deal with. Some people just, like I said, whistle. That's me. I'm a whistler, and I've been at work, and they're like, my friend's like, who is doing all that whistling? And I'm like, sorry, that's me. So, you know, some people chew gum really loudly. Like I said, they pop the gum. Some people have a habit of eating like, I won't say a slob, but eating somewhat sloppily. And, you know, like I said, we all have some sort of bad habit. Some people, gosh, yeah, Mom, I'm talking to you. Some people, like my mother, have a bad habit of sharing everything, just oversharing everything that they come across on Facebook. Bad habit. You know, not so critical, but it's something that, you know, probably needs to be addressed. Anyway, you know, if you address it, you start. I like to consider it like a spiral staircase. You know, the further you climb up it, the less likely you are to remain the same. So it may be arduous at first to climb up that spiraling staircase. You know, especially the further up you go, who knows, you may have a nosebleed. But if the further you climb up, the less likely you are to remain the same. Whether you consider yourself more a tortoise or more a hare, understand that the most important step that'll bring you closer to your goals is to start. We have to have the courage to start and also the courage to continue on reaching our goals. That's when well, the 5 second rule that I spoke of earlier, that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 blast off or action, that's going to make that it's not going to make any decisions easier to make, but it will make them happen. You know, it's gonna slow down that that hesitation. That, like I said, hesitation is a kiss of death. So, you know, one step at a time, you're gonna. The more you practice making a decision within 5 seconds or less, it's gonna help build your confidence to grow. And it's not going to be instantaneously, but you know, your confidence to make decisions quickly without hesitation, it'll be a new you. I mean, I know we all struggle, so I don't want to act like I don't struggle or your struggle is harder or less hard, because we all struggle with oftentimes the same self-defeating feeling. But I know that we can all get through it. So don't buy into the mistake that you can't change, because you can change. And just because it's not going to happen in one instance, it will change eventually. Aristotle, the philosopher, he said, "Do good, be good." First change your behavior, and you'll be in a better position. So, you know what's important to you. Don't let your fear hold you back on reaching any of your goals. This is Dawn Melanie. I thank you for joining me this week, and I do hope you'll join me next week for another episode of Managing Self. In the meantime, be cognizant and realize that change requires that you do things that feel hard. Doing things that feel hard right now, that requires courage. But like I said, I'm confident that we all have the ability to make a change, to start, and the courage to continue, so that we do reach our goals, no matter how hard they seem. Thank you for listening, and wish you luck on that. Like I said, hopefully you'll take an honest look at some decisions that you're having a hard time making, or habits maybe changing like that. So remember, it's courage, and it'll be made one step at a time. So nothing instantaneously, but baby steps, one step at a time. Good luck, and hopefully you'll join me next week. Thanks again. Bye.